Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about Black Adam. Spoilers ahead. Myself and Gary, how you doing, Gary?
I'm all right. I'm back.
We're Yeah, it's good to have him back. He is also a DC resident expert as well. And we've both seen this movie. We saw it earlier today. We're going to talk about it, dissect certain things. No play by play here, just certain characters, certain scenarios, and what the future holds for this particular franchise as well. Um, Gary, you just finished watching Black Adam earlier today. How did you find it?
Uh, it's a little bit sloppy, but apart from that, it was a really, really good action film. It had pauses for us to catch a breath, but it was mostly balls to the wall action. I really liked it. Like the thing that I liked about it was very faithful to the Black Adam character. Now, it wasn't wholly original to his origin stories, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the fact is that he's willing to kill. He has the same powers as Shazam. Sorry, I hate that. He's Captain Bloody Marvel, not Shazam. But anyway, Shazam and stuff like that. But he's a dark side of him and stuff like that. And he, he's supposed to be a hero or like a protector for this nation, this Arabic nation that doesn't exist in real life. Yeah, and
I
it's
think
good that
Egypt, a city in Egypt, isn't it?
no, it's its own country. Kandak is its own country. It's a bit
Okay,
like
I just
it's a
thought
bit like
I thought Kandak.
it's a bit like Wakanda in Marvel.
I thought
It's its
Kandak
own,
was a city. Well, what
no,
was
it's a
the name of the
country.
city? What was the name of
No,
the city they were in? Do you know?
I thought
Okay.
Kandak was the name of the country.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, because in the comics, Kandak is the name of the country.
Yeah, but you know how things can change. I mean, they made like Gotham City and Metropolis, um, across the
Not
bay
that
from
far.
each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I really liked this. I thought it was like good to see a real anti-hero. Like when it comes to anti-heroes, especially comics, Black Adam is probably my favorite because he's an interesting character. The Punisher gets a little bit boring because all he does is shoot people, whereas Black Adam, he's a lot more you mess with me and I mess with you. Basically, a lot of people have messed with him, from supervillains all of, and usually end up dead. And the thing is that usually end up dead in very violent ways.
that
I
that's
love
a
the
bit of a
fact. That's what. Sorry.
there's a bit of a strange comparison, Black Adam and the Punisher. I mean, they're not only are they two different like properties, like one is super powered god level, and the other one is just like a vigilante, who sleeps in the sewers and shit. So they're like totally different in that aspect. And one is
Yeah,
actually
but
considered to be more of a hero, while Black Adam has recently become anti-hero, so to speak.
mm,
For me, I mean, I prefer him as a villain. He's the yang to Shazam's Ying. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah,
I get what you mean. But I mean, when it comes to anti-hero S, Venom, not really a fan. I mean, I like the Venom character, but I like him as a villain. What you just said about what kind of there. Punisher, again, I wasn't comparing the like for like. I was just comparing the fact that they're both anti-heroes. The Punisher will kill, as will Black Adam.
I look at Punisher as a see. This is the thing. I've had this argument with a lot of people. I look at Punisher as a hero. Yes, he
Mm-hmm.
does kill people, but ever since that incident in sorry that scene in with the John Bernthal um version where he accidentally killed well he thought he accidentally killed some sex workers, and he was so distraught by that he was willing to die for it because he doesn't want to kill the innocent, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
very heroic, in my opinion, sort of mindset to have. Not an
Yeah.
anti-hero mindset. You're willing to die for doing something wrong. That's what a hero would do, not an anti-hero. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, but I
yeah.
mean, but what I'm comparing sort of like in the fact that when we come to anti-heroes, Black Adam is my favorite because even though he has a small code, he kind of keeps to it, and like kind of if you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you, sort of thing. And that's what I like about him. And plus, he's a total badass. So like, and that's what I love about this film is that it shows what a total badass is because he goes through armies, literally through like that little like miniature mercenary group that they send about him. They send about at least 100 guys, and he kills them all. And he kills them all in very disgusting and explosive ways. And he's just like, they're going, boom, 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 boom. And that's what I love. I love the fact. And he does that. And that's what I loved about this film, was that it wasn't afraid to pull the punches. I mean, it probably could go too gruesome because I think it's a 12A, and if they did anymore, it'd probably be a 15. But if I was to have one criticism on this film in general, I personally, and I don't know if you agree with me, would rather this was like Blade or like something like that, where it's a bit more adult.
R-rated.
Yeah, where it's like 15, 18, and a proper wait for the gore, things like that. Because that's the one thing that I think it could have gone for. It could, especially with this character, they could have gone for the gore. I know The Rock himself is more of a family-friendly kind of an actor.
He's done adult films like R-rated films in the past. So
Yeah. But
most
what I'm saying is,
notably,
I think that this was going for a bit more kind of like high teen level violence than like something a bit more gritty like Blade or something.
I heard through the grapevine, that this film was more R-rated in the making of it, but they died or cut down some of the gore and some of the graphic violence to give it the PG-13 rating. So there might be a director's cut out there where
which I'd be happy to
we
see.
which I would love to see, because we saw certain scenes where like the brutality, like when with the end level boss where he ripped him in half and stuff like that, like they weren't fucking around. And I mean, they really pushed that PG-13 rating to its limits with
That's one
this,
thing I like the fact that it had balls and went there. It wasn't for kids. It was proper like no, this is for high level
Well, it's
teenagers.
it's PG-13, so it is for kids, but as long as they're accompanied by an adult. But it would have, if this would have had the balls if it went 15, 18, then. But then again, they probably wanted to, like, this is once again, like, this is Warner Brothers doing a Disney, realizing that they need to make their money back, and by letting more people be able to see it, that's and obviously Rock being a household name, yeah, that was the way forward as well. I do have a couple of issues with this. I mean, I straight off the bat, did I enjoy this? Yes, I did. It was a good roller coaster ride. Do I think this is good? It's all right. Like it's very by the numbers to a degree, and at times I felt there was a little bit of repetition with some of the action scenes, and it is very action orientated. It goes on. There's a lot of action in this, but between the JSA and Black Adam, some of it just felt like it was treading over old ground on a couple of occasions. Like, what was the name of that material, that rock? What's it called? Eternium, yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of the film, when Shazam, sorry, when Black Adam escapes his prison, and everyone's trying to fuck with him, and nothing hurts him, but then an Eternium rocket hits him, and you realize, oh, there's a weakness there. And honestly, that never really got played into the film for the rest of the movie. Like they exposed this little thing. So this is some of the stuff that might have been on the cutting room floor, and they decided not to go with this when it came to the editing of the film. So it just made me. I just found it a bit silly that they would show him getting hurt, and then, all right, we'll just leave it alone now. We won't go back to this particular plot thread. So stuff like that, that it bothers me a little bit. Like the JSA, they feel like glorified X-Men the way they came out of the fucking ground. It looked like they were like bloody Xavier's fucking house. They came out the basketball court or the gardens and stuff with in the X-wing. the X Jet, whatever it's called. It was very, like Atom Smasher. He looked
Uh,
like.
I don't know how to say this, dude, but kind of the X-Men ripped off the JSA first.
No, I'm not doubting that. I mean, Doctor Fate was before Doctor Strange. You know what I mean?
It was,
I'm
yeah.
very aware of this, but you can't. But who's the one who's actually taking advantage of these particular comic books and putting them on the screen? Marvel are, like, and they're making themselves seem like the people who are ahead of the game. Even though DC have been around longer. So all of those particular things. Look, Atom Smasher. Why the fuck do they have to make him look like, like if you're playing a beat 'em up and you're going to be Deadpool versus Deadpool, they made him look like the blue version of Deadpool. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
That's the way his character looks.
yeah, really. But he looked so much like fucking Deadpool. It was crazy. So those just those sort of things that they took me out of it, bugged me a little bit here and there. The JSA, like they wanted to give Black Adam maybe an obstacle before the main villain, who was just somebody they kind of conjured up in the last 5 minutes of the film. But yeah, they wanted to, which that also pissed me off too. Like, yeah, we know we saw the villain earlier on, but they really made him the super villain at the end of the movie, which was something I didn't like. But
Well,
we need to give them an obstacle. We'll give them the JSA because the Justice League are too strong, and the JSA, well, they're C list, so we'll give them them instead. Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know. As I said, the GSA I like because they're sort of like the first group, the first superhero group, the first superhero group, and the thing is, what I liked was the fact that they got brought in and it kind of made some sense. Like they kind of were brought up as well. Interground have been here all this time and you've done nothing. It's only when somebody's superpowered and is trying to do something that you come into play. And it kind of made a sense of like who is the real hero and what makes a real hero. And kind of to see that sort of existential thing be played out. Now, you might disagree with me here, but that's one of the strongest things about this movie, that it does delve into what is a hero. Like, for example, these people didn't give Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, Alex Smasher didn't give a crap until Black Adam showed up. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I agree.
and they kind of had this, like, almost like paramilitary dictatorship, almost like a flaming fascist regime ruling
Oh,
over it
we can
with
say how
guns.
it for me it's like the Israeli occupation of Palestine. I mean, that's how I'm looking at it, but maybe other people
No,
see it a
it did
bit
because
differently.
it got basically like a bunch of
If
criminals. They're basically like
it,
terrorists. So they're like
yeah,
ISIS almost. Well, IS, I suppose. IS invaded and ruling the country. That's what they did for
or
a little bit.
plus like a lot of those faces, they're quite westernized, and considering America's stuck its big toe in everyone else's country now and again. Obviously what's happening in the Middle East, like Iraq and
Yeah,
Afghanistan, it just looks like Western
but
occupation of
but
Middle Eastern lands, and
it gang
yeah,
is kind of like a terrorist cell in that they're like a military sort of like criminal gang. They're a bit like I'm trying to find a real life cipher for them. They're not like IS. They're a bit like, imagine that the Somali pirates were a lot more land based, and they actually were a lot more numbers, and also they're a lot more pain in the hole to get to deal with. In that they wanted a lot more power and maybe corruption, and that's what basically the ground are like. If you want the comic book version of these, this is the reason why they said in it. I was like, yes, I know exactly who they are. I know exactly what they are. And they're very multinational in that they're not really like a Muslim terrorist gang. They're like very much like an international criminal force.
well, the
But
people we kind of saw in the in that particular gang, they looked like they were from the Western world, regardless
yeah,
of their race.
mm.
Their accents kind of gave it away. At the beginning of this movie, by the way, like we got a massive exposition dump.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's one thing I didn't like about this movie. I'm gonna. I'm sorry. Did you want to go into first, or do you want me to?
I just want to quickly go in a little bit more by saying, this kind of felt like Scorpion King Part Two a little bit, and ironically, Rock's in it as well. So also, and I'm not taking the piss. It's got the X-Men Apocalypse vibes as well about it as well. But it basically showed us in a very quick way how sorry, I keep calling him Shazam, Black Adam,
Black Adam.
ended up where he is and where we are in today's world. And just to go on a little bit in today's world, like there was no like this particular place where they found Black Adam's tomb. Like it wasn't secretive enough. It was just some fucking cave people might in the last 5,000 years that other people might have attended at some particular point. There should have been maybe some magic key that opens up a like which is like a hole in the wall that opens
What
something
do
up.
you mean, like that necklace that she had? The three little moments that kind of like opened it up. You mean?
Well, just something like just to get them where they like she just walked into a fucking cave. You know what I mean? And and it just didn't feel secretive enough. You would have told me in the last 5,000 years nobody has has seen any of this shit. I refuse to believe that. So
Yeah. So
I yeah.
go carry on.
No, just that a little bit, finding, seeing a floating crown for fuck's sake. You're telling me nobody's discovered this shit in the last 5,000 years?
All right. So
Other hermits and stuff, traveling around the caves and, just anyway.
yeah. So I kind of agree with you that I could have done without the exhibition book. I would rather have it been kind of revealed that we saw it, kind of like it had like past 2,000 years ago in Canada. And we saw basically this planet king, and like we see him like go make me this crown and stuff like that. And we could have done without the flavor exhibition. No, I agree. And the other thing I agree with is it kind of was a little bit. But I'm gonna, and also the fact that they telegraphed who the flaming traitor was. I'm sorry, that could have been more telegraphed if he was there with a top hat doing a little bit of a dance, saying "I'm the villain." Everybody, it's like that was so telegraphed. But I mean, I suppose
Yeah, but like it was a bit like they exposed it very early in the film, so it wasn't too much of an issue. Like when the moment he said like the guy where's was his name Samir or something like that? Where's Samir? Oh, he got claustrophobic. No, he killed him and threw him out, but. Then we weren't really sure because the next thing like all these military guys come along and he's being held hostage as well and he gets punched in the face and all of that, so you're wondering what the hell's going on really, but then yeah, and then you find out he's part of the group all along, which is not surprising because it kind of made sense.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, that first bit I was a bit but after that it was amazing. Like as I said, when you first see him and he's kind of in that sort of like that sort of kneeling stage, and he's got the cloak over his head and stuff like that, and people just went like, "Who's this guy?" He's like go, like, "Come on, you see him? No, you see him? You see him?" Last guy, and he just goes, and Fraser was like, "Come on!" And then I knew it was on from there. He just like goes, and just starts killing people just left and right.
It was cool seeing what's his face from Shazam. The black actor who played the wizard.
Damson Hanzo.
Yeah, it was good to see him. But this film had a lot of connective tissue when it came to the DCEU. It really did. It was full of it. We had yeah, but it's all part of the EU. But they want us to remind us now that there is like an expanded universe because honestly, recently
the whole thing about Black Adam. The whole thing about Black Adam is that he was one of the first people that the Wizard Shazam and the whole Wizard collective gave their powers to.
Yeah. No, but not just him as well. Like we had, I mentioned earlier, we're going to spoilers, and we're going to talk about this in depth a little bit later. But just very briefly, I want to mention that we had him, we had Harcourt, who was in Suicide Squad and Peacemaker series. She was in this. We had Amanda Waller, who's been in Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker series herself, and of course Superman. So we had
as well as everyone.
Yeah, so we had a whole bunch of connective tissue in this film. But you can see that, obviously the power of Dwayne Johnson to to get the particular ball rolling, because he's been wanting this for many years now. Once obviously he comes out of he gets resurrected again, he does. It is a bit of a fish out of water sort of story. Like, he thinks that bullets are magic, and he's coming across all these different people shooting rockets and stuff. Obviously he does get hurt by the Eternium, but then that doesn't, as I said earlier, that doesn't get dealt with later on. And eventually he ends up back at the young lady and son's house. And by the way, that guy, does he know how to walk? Because he was fucking skateboarding everywhere. And I don't know what it is, but somehow that was grating me a little bit. Like, can you stop fucking going on your skateboard for once in your fucking life? I can understand him being a decoy, so to speak, to those guards. That was a cool moment. But he's skateboarding all the fucking time. And I know him and his mother were supposed to be substitutes to Black Adam's son and wife, who were killed.
Right,
I can see that. Yeah, but
right. So, do you mind if I spill some stuff for you, or what's going to go on?
This is all spoilers, dude. This is all
spoilers. No. As in, what happens in the comics?
Well, I mean, comics might not happen in real life, so I'm happy for you to spoil it.
All right.
So when I say comics, I mean on screen.
There's a book series which I highly recommend to you. It is amazing. Where Black Diamond is obviously one of it. I've mentioned it a couple of times to you, which is called 50 Tip. And basically, what it is that Black Adam gets a new family and basically gets the woman and the son to become his new family and become basically part of this. So, like at the end of Shazam, they become that. That's what they become. They become superpowered, basically. Things, and there's a whole story which I'm not going to go into because I want you to read the books. That's amazing about because Intergang is part of that as well. So like the fact they've introduced Intergang is making me thinking they're doing 52, which if they do it like this, it's amazing because again, Black Adams is much more fleshed out as a character in that story. Like we get to see that because the woman becomes his wife, his new wife. And then the child becomes like his child, and they form like a new collective, and they go around basically helping people and try to do good in the city. And there's but the gang was still come in and do its own thing, and there's a whole story which I don't want to get into. But yeah, go ahead.
No, we got into other characters though. Like we found out, like the lady, she has a brother who is comic relief, and Atom Smasher.
Do you know what? He was annoying.
But this is the thing. Go on.
I mean, there's two characters who did my goddamn head in. Who, if they disappeared from the film, I wouldn't have been bothered. The fat uncle and Atom Smasher. If the other characters disappeared, I wouldn't have minded.
See, this is where DC has something over. Sorry, this is where Marvel has something over DC regarding comic relief characters. Like, for instance, when it comes to the Avengers and the accumulation of the Avengers, whether it be Civil War for argument's sake, or Endgame, like one of the comic relief characters was Ant-Man, but he was already established in his own movie. So we got to know what he is. Now these people like Uncle and Atom Smasher, and by the way, nice cameo of Henry Winkler, the Fonz, and all of that. So it's interesting. It's nice to bring these people in. We do know apparently Atom Smasher is a bit of a goofball and all of that, but once again, because Marvel already established Ant-Man as being a comic relief character, it wasn't so difficult for him to play comic relief character in an ensemble cast in the Avengers. Whilst these two guys are getting shoehorned in, and we don't give a fuck about them. And if anything, as you said earlier, they can get kind of annoying. Like the way Atom Smasher was going, like come on, mate, you're too much of a rookie to be doing this shit. What the fuck? But he should have believed in his abilities a little bit more.
3 or 4 times, flaming Hawkman looked at me and went, "Me and you," and it's like It's like
and
literally. I mean, and the thing
nothing
that it
happened
was
from that. Yeah,
nothing. That's one of the things that kind of annoyed me was that kind of like that was unresolved. There was unresolved things where he went, and it's just like, look. Thing is that like Hawkman as a character has got a fascinating backstory. I mean, I don't. I mean, uh, like in the comics, he and his wife or partner, whatever you want to call it, have been bewitched to the fact that one of them will always die before the other, and one of them has to live a full life, and then that will keep it happening as a cycle because they were bewitched, like in like Egyptian time by a
yeah,
wizard.
but they've also played aliens as well, depending on what rendition you've got. That they're from the bird people planet. Um, but I'm fine with both to a degree. Like in the CW, Randall Savage, uh, basically curse them, and that there'll be cursed lovers who'd always die, but they'll get resurrected and have to relive all this shit forever. And that was their curse to a degree. But yeah, I all of it is interesting. I do like the actor who played Hawkman. I've seen him in stuff before. There was a show called
Goodbye.
sorry,
Goodbye.
yeah, there was a
I don't
show
know. I
like
don't know his name. It's unfortunately.
the there was a show like it was like the American version of Hustle, and
Mhm.
he played like a computer geek in that. Who yeah, but nevertheless, I've seen him in other stuff as well. I can't really recall what else I've seen in him, but I know I've seen him in other stuff. But I'm very happy to see him in this particular project, playing a prominent superhero. Obviously, the one that stands out the most, and I just want to quickly mention Cyclone. It's not her, but she wasn't too bad. I liked her for what she is. Obviously, is Pierce Brosnan as Doctor Fate. Everyone knew that he'd be perfect for this particular role. But my problem with Doctor Fate is that he took off his fucking helmet all the time, and that was bugging me a lot. Like, keep that
Well, the
fucking
thing
helmet
is that
on.
the thing is with the helmet, it's kind of and it kind of that's one thing that I kind of agree with you, but I kind of disagree with you on. Did it play up why he takes off the helmet? Like for example, in the comics, the helmet is kind of like because of what
It's
it
it,
shows
yeah,
him. It's kind of like it's kind of like a curse. It grants him like this incredible power, like godlike power. But if he keeps it on, it kind of like shows him the future. That well, obviously fate, as I said, that's what is Doctor Fate. But the thing is that it kind of haunts him because the thing is that it shows him like every. Like for example, that one scene in Endgame where Doctor Strange basically says, "I've tested this out, and there's only one thing where we win." That's basically
oh,
Doctor
that's
Fate
Infinity
all the
Wars. That
time.
was
Yeah, yeah. That's Infinity Wars. Sorry, but anyway, yeah. So whatever that was, anyway, the but the same thing happens in Doctor Fate, and he cannot turn it off. Like literally, whether it's Doctor Strange has basically can do that with his own free will. He has no free will. That helmet has its own will where it basically shows him
yeah.
every permutation of the past.
It's an enchanted helmet. It's almost
Yeah,
got its own. It's almost like it's got its own personality. It's almost like a symbiote. To Doctor Fate when
yeah.
he puts it
That's
on.
what makes Doctor Fate an interesting. To be honest, I wish they went more with that because the thing is, you kind of see like more at peace than he is in the comics. Because like in the comics, he's really haunted by the fact that
Yeah,
he's seen all of his friends die numerous times before he gets to this is how we get out of it. Sort of
he's
stuff.
Professor X in this, by the way. I mean, that's what the vibe I'm getting. As I said, they came out the bloody, the garden at Professor X's mansion in the X Jet, and then he's got that Professor X type of vibe about him as well. He's not the leader, Hawkman is, but you can definitely tell he's also like maybe the spiritual leader, so to speak, of the group. Like he's definitely the father figure of the group.
No,
With
no, no. Hawkman's the father because, as I said, because of
Hawk,
the because of the, yeah,
he's
because
the
of the
leader.
yeah, but because he's been resurrected so many times. Doctor Fate knew him when he was somebody else. because as I said,
Yeah, I
he
guess
gets
so.
resurrected as somebody else every time, but he still
Yeah.
becomes the same person.
That's a good
That's what.
point.
Yeah. So like as I said, like the thing is, I like Pierce Brosnan, but I hate the fact that the mask disappeared at the end. It's like no, the mask doesn't disappear. It's a constant thing that looks for a new person to bond with. It's like
Yeah, a bit like the lantern ring.
yeah.
Yeah.
It looks for a new person to, and it's like had the people who wrote this actually read any of the GSA books where they think
Well,
what it's
I mean, they can retcon it. Just because it disappeared doesn't mean it's
gone.
disappeared. I mean,
I know, but
it could really, it finds a new host and it can just merge itself back together again.
as
And
I said, like
yeah.
I just love the fact that we get tidbits of Black Adam's past. The fact that he that there's different things that come out, and like that he secretly just destroyed people with his rage and stuff like that, and he at the end of stuff, was revealed that it wasn't him that was really given the power; it was his son, and his son gave him the power, which is not how it
Yeah,
happens in the book.
we're jumping way ahead
Oh,
here, Boss.
sorry.
Yeah, that's way at the end, mate. Let's talk about the action scenes where
Amazingly good.
they were pretty good initially. Like the first batch of it was, I mean, we saw him dispose initially of some of these guards and stuff like that.
Like, I just love when he just catches the bullet. He's just saying going, and he just. I mean, as I said, the one thing that I will say about the action scenes is that they seem to focus a lot on speed up, slow down, just so we can see the person doing something cool. Then speed up again. It's just like, but can we find some other way of doing it? Because it kind of got a little bit grating after a while. That's one thing
Well,
I had.
he is a guy like he's
Super
obviously
speed,
very
super
similar.
speed.
He's
No,
very
I'm not talking
similar
about
to
him.
Superman.
The person that it was bugging me the most with was Cyclone, because every time she did anything, they would show her in like a whirlwind, and then all of a sudden you'd see her just doing something like throwing stuff, like when she was throwing
Yeah,
the.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what the fuck she was doing half the time. I don't know how useful she was, to tell you
When
the
she's
truth. But
throwing
just like,
when she's throwing like the sticks at Black
oh
Adam,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I
and
do
then
recall that.
that playing what's his name? I was supposed to say, oh, sorry, a bit late. Kashmam, and he just like put his hand on, and then all says, oh, his man, and he says, oh, he's breathing, and kind of like him and Cyclone seem to be like having kind of like a mini romance. I don't know. I kind of got that.
Yeah,
Even though
really.
he's a bit of a douchey dude, bro. To be honest with you.
No, he came off okay, but he came off naive. But like they really went. You seen Team America?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went proper Team America on that
Well,
city, man.
please.
I mean, they
Yeah.
fucking
We
destroyed
see
the
the
shit out
city.
of it. We destroyed the shit
It's about
out of
that. That's what reminded me of. It reminded me of that bit when they go into France, they go into Paris, and like they blow shit up. And says, we've seen Paris. Everything is bought. It's like literally they've just devastated
Yeah,
everything.
they're the ones who've actually destroyed the Eiffel Tower and stuff, and yeah, and that's what I was thinking of when they were trying to stop Black Adam. Like they were destroying the whole city to stop this one guy, which is why, in a way, the city rallied behind Black Adam because he initially got rid of their occupiers. Well, he was getting rid of them, and then the bloody JSA comes along thinking, you know what the fuck? We want you guys to remain. Well, they don't want them to remain occupied, but because he's a superpowered human being, now they care. They don't care when regular, as you mentioned earlier, they don't care when regular human beings are doing the occupying. They just get pissed off when the superhuman power guy. But he becomes their
That's the whole
champion.
point I was trying to make before. And I love the fact that was it Sarah Sai, the lady who plays the mother. It's Sai, I hope I pronounce it. Her and Dwayne Johnson's chemistry is unbelievably good. Like they seem to have like such good chemistry with each other, and like
You think? I never really noticed it, but I never thought it was bad. But I just thought it was just
I
okay.
love the chemistry that he has with the boy as well. Like the boy is obviously like like you can tell that he's affected him. Like especially when he says you got to say to him tell him that the
He's a
black man
nerd.
says the man in black sent you, and it's just like
Well,
I said like I love the fact that he keeps getting it wrong. He's like, damn
well,
it.
he's a nerd, that kid. We see him earlier on, like his bag opens up, it's full of comic books and stuff. And then, as far as he's concerned, they've got their own champion now, their own
Yeah, yeah,
Superman. You
like
know,
his bedroom was full of like maybe like Superman,
well,
Wonder
yeah, I
Woman.
like that. I like that bit where he burns a hole. Does he have laser vision? I can't remember. He does,
And
doesn't
then
he?
like he does the lightning thing.
Oh, he did the lightning, yeah, and he burns up, Superman's face, which was very cleverly done. Um, but obviously, once they go on the streets and they start fighting the JSA, very good action scenes. Um, I forgot how all of that ended. I think he ended up in China at one point.
No, no,
Like,
no.
the only,
No, that you think you're skipping on. What happened was that they kind of lit their wounds. They kind of went back, and then he went to his old like where the old castle was, and then kind of Sarah Side goes to him and goes you know they want to talk, let them talk. So it
yeah, let
just
him talk. Yeah.
like
Or there's always that moment about let's talk. There's always that. I heard somebody else mention it. You know, there's always that. Okay, let's have a chat now. Yeah, we're
we just
done.
kicked, he just kicks your
Yeah,
ass.
yeah, we destroyed half the city to try to stop you, but let's talk. And yeah, and you can like, I mean, like he's got his own way of justice. You know, he is obviously, he does believe in dealing out punishment, and he's old school. End of the day, I don't think he has definitely. Yeah, you're right. This version of Black Adam is he won't harm people who don't harm him, but at the same time, I do feel there's a part of him, maybe not completely exposed in this film, but I've always felt there's a part of him that doesn't give a fuck about collateral damage.
No,
You know what I mean?
like I
So
love yeah. Then I love the chat they have, and then like Doctor Fate is trying to be like the voice of reason, going, you know, you got to think about your the fact that you're doing this. It's just like, all right, that's interesting. As I said, it was a really interesting film. As I said, I wasn't a big fan of this bit because it felt like, right, here's a pause where we just get to talk about shit. It's like, oh great. And then like, then all of a sudden something happens. I can't remember what the something is, where like, I think it's like there's like soldiers having a fight or something.
him and Hawkman have a little back and forth again,
And then all of a sudden, like, something comes
and
out.
then and Doctor Fate goes, I'll think this one out, and then they have a little back and forth. But I want to go on to the real villain. Now, this is it Ishmael. His name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the last descendant of King Tut.
Douchebag.
Yeah, what's the name of the fucking king that Black Adam fought when
Oh, I
5,000 years?
can't remember.
King Hagan or something.
Evil McFlaming cat crowd. That's what it is.
He's also the person in charge of all these. Like, he seems to be the guy who's in charge of all of this military occupation, of Kandar as well. So, yeah, he's a man with a couple of different hats on his head, and he wants that crown. Yeah, but that's the MacGuffin of the film. It's that crown, and that crown is made out of Eternium as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's also like big card for demon. I think with demons, or whatever. I mean, to be honest, I love the fact that they're building it up because, like, Doctor Fate like sees it when he touches. Is it Adrian? Her name is Adrian. We touches Adrian's background. He like literally sees like a force of evil. It's like saying you've got the crown of Sabak. You need to tell. You need to. It's like literally finds out like it's like this horrible thing, and then like and then like I think it's like he all of them like get on the fight on the jet and go backwards to the castle, and then all of a sudden find out that it's they're basically intergangs there, and they're trying to get hold of this thing, and he's like it's like and he takes the kid and puts him in that cycle thing.
Yeah,
And
and
that was a really I really like that scene where they basically zoom off and doesn't film what's like the cycles, and all of a sudden like he's like literally destroying them all, and then he's like
he's
pulling
destroying
it off
them all. But Hawkman has X-ray vision with his goggles, so he's able to see where the kid is supposed to be. and obviously, out of all the cycles they could have gone after, they went after all the ones that didn't have the kid in. But
Yeah.
the kid is now used as bait, as collateral,
Mhm.
because they're hoping that this kid now he's formed a bond with Black Adam, and obviously this kid is also trying to teach Black Adam how to be a superhero by using one-liners and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, he's they're hoping to use him as bait, and then the mother pleads to Black Adam, saying, "You please save my son," and so he decides to do it. Obviously, I think this pulls on the heartstrings because of his son dying,
Mm.
and
Well, like, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, like the thing that I loved about what you that they don't reveal too much. I mean, kind of toward the beginning, the one thing that I have massive problems with is that I think they kind of the way that the camera positioned, you kind of revealed that he was the father, not the son. And I wish that
yeah,
they
they
kind of
revealed that. Yeah, I thought, well, that guy looks like Dwayne Johnson, but then you don't focus on him anymore. So but he focused on you enough that you caught a glimpse of his face.
yeah. So like, I mean, and
Yeah,
that's one thing that I kind of gave away the end, and it's just like, yeah, I wasn't, yeah, and that's what one thing. I mean, can we speak ahead a little bit to that scene where I mean, that's one scene that I kind of liked was that particular scene where like he's kind of going, because the thing is in the comics that isn't how that goes down. It still goes down like that where. But it's like both of them actually get the powers of
yeah, the Shazam powers.
yeah. And the thing is that he actually kills his son in jealousy. That's what powers
Oh
his rage.
wow.
Yeah. So like I mean, and to be honest, I would have rather seen that. I'd rather see the fact that he
If
has
they
to.
did that, there was no way people would. I think it would leave people too there'll be
Dislike.
too much dislike for him. Like you can't make this guy even look like an anti-hero even if he kills his own son. Yeah, there's just no coming back from that.
Yeah,
You
because
don't
I
kill your kids. Yeah, so
yeah,
yeah,
so because the
out of
thing is that
jealousy as well. I mean, like it's not like your son was
well,
trying to kill you. You
well,
know what I mean?
because the thing is that he's about to say the word, the S word, and he, as I said, like he's about to say it, and and Black Adam kills him. So he doesn't have the powers anymore. And it's just like, and it's kind of like the whole thing is like, as I said, like it's they still managed to do what, as I said, like I wish they'd gone there a little bit of this because the thing is that then we would have seen like I've never been able to live myself, but I would get to see that he's trying to redeem himself for this new kid and like I'm trying to be the guy that my son Richard wasn't meant to be. I kind of still like this story that they went with, but I kind of wish they did the old one. You know what I mean?
Well, did you know? I'm not sure if you ever watched the series Young Rock.
I haven't done.
Okay, well, there's three versions of Young Rock. There's the youngest Rock, the middle Rock, and the older Rock, who are
Mm-hmm.
all younger than Dwayne Johnson. Well, the guy, the Shazam kid, sorry, the kid who plays Rock's son when he's empowered by the magic, was played young Rock, the older version of Young Rock on Young Rock. And
Right.
so they got, which was a nice little thing there, and obviously he gives his power to his dad to save his dad's life, but then by doing so, he's left
It's,
vulnerable, and he gets killed, and then obviously that kind of fuels Black Adam's
rage.
rage to a degree, you know. Like it reminded me of have you ever played Assassin's Creed Origins?
No, not really.
There's a moment like that where the assassin, his son dies, and it's very similar, but it's Egyptian as well, and all of that sort of stuff. Um, but yeah, that was a nice little thing. But obviously, going back to the main villain, he gets the crown. He gets empowered. We start seeing fucking zombies appear. I know you love your zombies, and
The not zombies, the demons from hell, well, the army of
yeah,
hell.
I know. Yeah, but what I mean. But I mean, they rise from the ground and stuff. But also, like, the mother's brother, sorry, the mother who, yeah, her brother, he's kind of felt emboldened now because Doctor Fate's seen his future and says that he dies from electricity, and he's an electrician, so he's a bit fucked. But he realizes that he's not going to, if he dies from electricity, that means he can fight the undead or whatever these demons are, and knows
And
he's
by the
not going
way,
to get
I
killed from
I,
it.
I love if this fat guy because the superheroes are like non-electrician man or something like that, like no electric man or something like that. That would be so cool. It's like I'm immortal to anything but electricity. Come on, of everything. Like
He'd be
internet doesn't.
fucked in today's world. I mean, like everything runs on electricity. Like the funny thing is that even though he's an electrician and he could just switch on his TV and get electrocuted. It's like I'm going to just press the power button on my laptop. Zzz, I mean, there's a million. There's so many ways he can die. He can switch on a light bulb and he's dead.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, I love the fact. I mean, seriously, as I said, the last bit where we basically got the devil or something that looked like the devil with the horns and everything. They're going. I basically shooting fire at people, and they're like,
Yeah,
and then like,
he gets to his full power now, doesn't he? Because he is obviously he is the last heir of that particular king from
king.
5,000 years
Yeah,
5,000 years
he
ago.
lets Black Adam kill him because he knows that's the way he'll get full power.
Yeah,
So he says Sabak and all that stuff, and he turns into that demon thing, and all of a sudden, like I mean, to us, when like he goes forward and like he puts a barrier in front of like Hawkrun and he realizes what's going on. He says, "I've enjoyed our chats, friend." And it's just like, oh my god, this guy's sacrificing himself, to fight.
well,
Uh,
his job was done, wasn't it? Like, he genuinely thought he's done everything he needs to do. His family's dead. There's no point in living. He wants to die. Instead of being in prison, he wants to die peacefully. So,
yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean that bit where where Black Adam basically says, "Okay, I'm going to put me in the." I'm going to tell, and it says, "You not just let me say this word again." He goes, Shazam, and he turns into the thing, and then they put him in that water prison
yeah, so
where
they never killed him off. Yeah, they imprisoned him again. So from one prison he went to another.
he goes to that
So
flaming, was it that red flaming water prison thing?
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And he's back at fucking was it Argos?
yeah,
Is it Argos? Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
think it's
where he's
August,
at.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
and then we see the GSA try to face whatever his name is as demon person, and then like they get their asses handed. I mean, well, it's Doctor Fate at
well,
first, and Doctor Fate does pretty decent for himself, but still gets his ass handed to him.
he feels like he knows that you can't kill this guy yet, but he still goes up against them alone. Surely they had a better chance of fighting him as a foursome than he did alone. But as far as he's concerned, he knew that Black Adam was the only person who could stop him.
Yeah,
And
so he waits in
yeah,
his dream, and then all of a sudden he goes, Shazam! And it's like, as I said, like he turns into the thing, and then he just comes up, and then you see the statue starts to fall, and all of a sudden he like you think he's gonna follow people, and all of a sudden and then he starts pushing it up, and then Adam Smasher goes, dude, the only decent thing he does in the side thing goes, I got it, and he just go, and he goes to fight this guy.
I would have done one or two things there. I would have either let the statue fall on everyone because he's too focused on killing that guy, and he forgets what it means to be a hero, or instead of catching the statue, just like put his fist right through it and turn it into dust. Because the catching the statue is something Superman would do. What would Black Adam do? He would destroy that statue and turn it into fucking dust. You know what I mean? That's how
But
he
you
would
just go,
operate.
well, it was his son,
Yeah.
so
It was a statue
yeah,
of his son, yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's a good point. But yeah, and then we got a big CGI fight. You
yeah,
know,
which I could have done without, to be honest with you, because like I mean, seriously, I'd rather be two guys that I could see rather than just him beating on this flaming red guy, and
well,
then all of a sudden, and then seriously, like he starts fighting the red guy, and then like the red guy starts doing the flame powers, which seem to do a little bit of damage, but not too much, and then like and then like he grabs him by the horns and then he flies up, and then like he goes, Sailor the Bloody Black says, and that was so badass. I
it,
love that scene.
it yeah, it was it was pretty cool. It just like sorry, I did have something to say. It did slip my mind, but
But,
yeah, it was pretty cool. But see, like it's just I don't know, like it felt like this. Like I felt like sorry, I remember what I had to say now. I just felt regarding the bad guy that I think one problem with superhero shows in general, whether it be DC or Marvel, is that they don't give enough credit to the villain. And this particular villain only really came into play near the end of the movie. Yes, we knew who he was prior to that, but I would have liked to seen this red dude from the very beginning of the fucking film. Like if they did continue with Justice League, and they made a second one, and if it had Dark Side in it, it would have been a lot better because we've already got a bit of Dark Side already in the first Justice League movie. But so they can continue with it with that. With this, there's nothing worse than shoehorning the villain in the last 15 minutes of the film, and that's as much as time as we get with him. When we should have got a lot more time with him, seeing more destruction from this guy. Like I would have taken away some of the JSA scenes, and I would have given it to our villain, causing a lot of shit. And yeah, so in my opinion, the villain not being fleshed out enough was one of the major detriments to this film.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so
Because the thing is that he's only given a lot. I mean, the thing is that they presume him dead. Then he comes back to say to that little crappy apartment they got in. Then he turns on the kid. Then the kid skates from him. Then he catches the kid again and puts him into the bike. Then he ends up dead. And I said, but we don't get any sense of who this guy is. Why he didn't get the crown. What sort of person was he? Was that, we know he's part of Intergang, but the thing is why is he such a bad guy?
Yeah, because he's part of royalty, isn't he? Like he's like Egyptian royalty, like he's there to rule. That's all he cares about, which is why he's occupied Kandahar. But regardless, that was I'm very happy that scene ended, but I think we're going to have, after everything was said and done and the JSA going their own way, maybe have a little space available for Black Adam if he wants to join them. We do finally get...
Black Adam does not join guns. He's literally a solo act.
Yeah, he is a solo guy, but sometimes even solo guys like Batman, they join teams, don't they? Yeah, you need to close an application or two, dude. I'm hearing a lot of feedback, but
no, I've closed everything. I'm just trying to, but yeah, the whole thing with
the post credit scene.
Yeah, so we get the drone of doom, which flies in and goes, and you get like literally what's the name? Amanda Waller's flaming image and said, "Black Adam, we respect your saying." It says, but we don't want you to put a toilet line. It says, if you don't, we'll send somebody who's not this earth to stay with you. And all of a sudden he goes, send them all. I'll kill them all. Boom, and he just blows it up, and then all of a sudden, like you see this image like float down, and then all of a sudden, like and he goes, "Back on I don't see somebody saying we need to talk," and it's Henry Cavill. I thought he was done with DC, and he's actually in a proper Superman suit. That's what made me go, yes. It was like, is it a proper Superman suit? He's not that shitty one from Flaming Man of Steel or the ones they put him in. They actually put him in a proper Superman suit that looks cool.
A couple of things here. First of all, there's already a lot of rumors around or news around about a Man of Steel 2 being made. And if there was going to be a Man of Steel 2, you need to have, obviously, Henry Cavill. You can't, like, if they kept recasting the way they've been doing, it would end up being a fucking joke. I mean, you could recast Ezra Miller and make it and do it smartly by putting Grant Gustin in and make the fact that he's time traveling so much he's become a different person. That's plausible, but but you can't, but someone like Henry Cavill, who are you going to recast it with?
Seriously, well, the thing is that Henry Cavill, the thing is Henry Cavill is a great Superman. He just hasn't been given the films to be a great Superman yet.
Him and Brandon Routh.
Yeah. Well, if I was going to do, if someone said to me, he said, "Gary, you've got to come up with the idea for Man of Steel 2. Do you know what I would do? I'd have it that Brainiac comes to Earth. He's coming to shrink down Earth. And the thing is, he has to fight it. And he has to fight tooth and nail. So basically, we get Superman the way he should have been. That he cares about everybody, he saves everybody, and he puts his fist right through Brainiac's face. I make
Well,
Brainiac a name actor, not just some random
Brainiac is
guy.
even though Brainiac is predominantly a
AI.
Superman villain, he's such a big villain that you would have to almost make him um Justice League level, and I would go off. I would maybe take someone like Parasite, somebody who absorbs the powers of Superman, and he has to use his
Bizarro,
brains a
maybe, I
little
don't know.
bit, and try and take him out. But
No more Lex
just so
Luthor.
you, well, I mean, I still think we need Lex Luthor. I mean, he's his main villain.
Just
We need
not,
to.
just not Jesse Buddy Eisenberg.
Well, then we're doing a recast again. I think Jesse Eisenberg at the end of um, was it Batman versus Superman or no
Yeah,
Justice League?
just
I can't remember the post credit scene.
yeah.
Where he looked like Lex Luthor now. He was bold. He was wearing a suit and all of that. He spoke to Deathstroke. He hired Deathstroke to do a job. Um, yeah, that I don't mind. But he made him very clownish with the long hair. He was more like the Joker, in Batman versus Superman. But anyway, I don't want to go into that too much. What I want to go on about is the fact that Henry Cavill is going to be obviously in upcoming projects. That's the power of Dwayne Johnson, by the way. That's the power of Dwayne Johnson because apparently he got booed at Comic Con. He got booed when people were asking about Superman, and he gave a negative response. And because of that response, I think he felt he almost put it upon himself to get Henry Cavill in this, and he's got the power to do that. He's a very powerful man in Hollywood. Do you know when this scene was filmed?
No,
Or Dwayne, it was filmed last month in September.
nice.
September that it was filmed.
Well, you see, because the
Yeah.
thing is that there's been rumors, and I don't know if you heard the same rumors I did. That apparently that Cavill was going to be in Marvel stuff. I was like, no, he's
As
Superman.
Captain Britain. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
fuck
I
that.
would.
He's
Yeah.
Superman.
I don't want. Yeah, I don't want. I'm glad that he's not in Marvel stuff in the way, but
He's
you
Superman.
can tell. You
Nothing
can
he ever
tell
does
that
will be bigger than that. Trust me.
rumors are is that like basically Dwayne Johnson wants DC. He wants to. He wants it all when it comes to the DC universe, and so if he takes it over as and he's obviously in it as well as Black Adam, and then gets people back like Henry Cavill as Superman, which made a lot of people happy in a way. Kind of,
Yeah, me too.
it stuck. It kind of, but maybe sometimes people Warner Brothers have to realize that this is the way like stop putting a roadblock in things. Just keep the gravy train growing. He is a bona fide superstar now. He's a Hollywood A-lister. He's been in loads of stuff. Pay the man, pay the man. Use him well. He deserves it. You probably God knows how much Dwayne Johnson got paid. I can't even imagine. Maybe 100 million. I mean, he would have got paid so fucking much to be in Black Adam too. So pay whatever Henry Cavill's asking, which would probably be about $10 million, maybe.
The money film now, and I hate to say this, is going to be Shazam versus Black Adam. That's the money film. Because the thing
Well,
they in the comics have a massive fight, and it
yeah.
will
Look,
totally hype on it.
I know that. But first of all, it's going to be Black Adam versus Superman, and then obviously Shazam will have to fight him. But they're going to have to do it very cleverly because they don't want to repeat the formula. Because if Black Adam fights Superman, then they have to make it a viable reason for him to fight Shazam. And then obviously who wins? Because if Black Adam fights Superman and loses, then it doesn't look good on Black Adam fighting Shazam. And already Superman's already lost to Batman, so the last thing he needs to do is lose again to Black Adam. So it's all got to be done right. I mean, there is comic books. Black Adam and Superman. They're not
Enemies.
they're not allies of each other. I mean, they fought against each other, but they're not like because Black Adam is a Shazam villain,
Yeah.
But they you do have crossovers, like you do have sometimes like Lex Luthor versus Batman and Joker versus Superman. It does happen, I mean, in the Injustice cartoons, Injustice comics, Joker was the one who fucked up Superman to make him kill Lois Lane and his unborn child. These things do happen. So the sort of crossovers between villains from one particular faction and heroes from another fighting against each other, I'm totally fine with that. But eventually, Black Adam has to go up against Shazam, and all of this shit needs to be done within the next 5 years. because these guys are not getting any younger.
I mean, Henry Cavill's
Rock
my
is
age.
yeah, and the Rock is in his 50s.
Is he 50s? No, he's,
I
he's, he's,
I
he's
think
40 odd.
he's either 49 or 50 years old. I can check right now.
Yeah, because he was
Um,
25 in 1997, I think. So that would yeah, you might be right actually.
he's 50 years old.
Bloody hell. So yeah,
2nd of
so
May, 1972. He's got
he's,
the
he's
same
in great
birthday.
shape for a 50-year-old guy.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about that, dude. He's been working out since he was a kid. You know, and
I mean,
also at some point, I would love to see. I've mentioned this before. I would love to see at some point Peacemaker and Black Adam coming across each other's paths, so we can have Rock versus Cena part
I guess
3.
that would
You
be
know what I mean?
interesting. That'd be interesting. I mean, it wouldn't last very long, but
Well,
um,
anything's possible in in comic books. Yeah, you can just give somebody the ability. All Peacemakers to do is just say
all right.
Shazam, and then
So
he
if
becomes as powerful as Black Adam.
okay, so I think both of us think this is a good film, but with some things that we would, if we were in charge of the script or maybe direction or whatever, change. Like for example, as I said, I think there's too many slow down, speed up scenes, and I think there's too many scenes like you were saying before where. Like for example, the expedition dump at the beginning. I'd rather that they showed that rather than tell it us. I'd rather that they just showed that with even in the foreign languages. What I'll read it because
I don't mind. I don't mind some of that too much. Like there's some a lot of people make an issue of it to a
no,
degree, but
it
some of
is.
my best.
Here's my problem with it. It goes against the principal rule of filmmaking: show, don't tell.
Yeah, but some of the stuff I've enjoyed in the past, like the Mummy, like the first Mummy film, like they had a massive exhibition dump. Even the Mummy Returns, the Scorpion King, that had a exhibition dump at the very beginning. But for me, the injustice, and pun is intended, is the lackluster villain. They put so much effort into the hero. They made the villain a secondary, useless, and they're not even a secondary, a fifth dairy, a sixth dairy character. Because you got the JSA filling in the gap as an obstacle before you put the main event bad guy at the end, who was nothing really. You know,
I mean,
I
he looks cool with with his horns and everything like
Yeah,
that.
but
But
looks is one thing. I want, like, what made Thanos so amazing was that they gave him Infinity Wars, and that was his movie. That was his film.
I mean, if not to speak for you, but you'd rather that like when she took the crown and maybe the gang, they get the crown, and we spend the whole, and he gets the crown and he becomes whatever it is, evil red guy,
I,
and then we see Black Adam and then we have like him doing stuff, and then we understand why Black Adam comes to fight him. Yeah, I agree with that to a point.
I don't know if I would go that way or not. I don't know what way, but you need to have a decent villain. Like there are films where like you get a good guy and a good bad guy. Like the first Batman movie under Michael Keaton. We
Jack
saw the
Nicholson.
origin story. You saw the origin story of the Joker. And he was an excellent Joker, and he was just a prominent part of the film as Batman was. You need to do that with the villain in this. You need to somehow make them established and somebody that we give a shit about. But then maybe this is what made me appreciate television series, because you can flesh shit out. You can't do that in a movie. Everything's got to be done and dusted within a couple of hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's the problem with films, unfortunately.
I'm with you. I'm with you because the thing is that it just felt like DSA were the enemy, and then all of a sudden it sort of like Uno double flips and said, "Oh no, this guy's the enemy." It's like okay, and this guy would face up to Black Adam. How? It's like, oh no, he's going to turn into a super bad guy. I'm like, great. That's exactly what. And then all of a sudden, like he turns into Red Horn Man. I'm like thinking, well, do you know what? I'd rather that Red Horn Man was not telegraphed, but kind of implied would go on. You know what I mean? Like there was a bit more build up and like why this person should be in charge and what happened on the old king. A bit more as you were saying, build up. Yeah, I agree
If
with you.
anything, if anything, this film would have been better if the JSA was the enemy
Mm.
and he disposed of them eventually, and which would
No,
have been brought
because he
in.
would have had to kill them, and I don't like that.
Maybe not, but it would have. If far as he's concerned, that they are the enemy. Like it's perspective. He's the good guy. They're on his land. His land's being oppressed by these outsiders, and then they only come in because he's stopping those outsiders from oppressing the land even more. And then they think they're the good. JSA think they're the good guys. He thinks he's the good guy. They have beef with each other. Maybe he doesn't necessarily kill them, but he
Mm.
sends them on their merry way. That would have been a lot better than having this devil guy at the end who I felt very shoehorned in. And then obviously if he was able to dispose of the JSA, but they're like C list Justice League, then we get the big guns in, then we get Superman, and then which we did, and that makes it obviously a lot more interesting in the future. And then maybe obviously Shazam, and in my opinion, Shazam versus Black Adam should be the big one.
He
It
should.
should be it should be the big one. But we have seen Shazam and Superman teaming up against Black Adam, so that's been done in comics and video and animation in the past. So maybe they can go down that road as well. In there's various ways, but yeah, I think it's about time we mark this now. So, sorry. Before we do, let's just mention that with the cliffhanger at the end, and obviously of all the rumors about what's going to be happening in the future. Apparently, they're going to make a Flash 2, you know, and all of that. So we'll see how where Ezra Miller
By the
lies.
way, please Flash film be good. Please Flash film be good.
I've heard it's very good. And which is why Warner Brothers are banking on it
Oh,
because
by the way,
they got the
film critics, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. Sorry, carry on.
yeah. I think actually I want to go on about that a little bit. Like we've been quite fair on this film. Like we think the film is not necessarily the best thing since sliced bread, but it's not shit
No,
either. You know
no,
what I mean?
it's a genre film. It's a popcorn movie that it's an action film. That's what it
Yeah,
is, and that's
it
what all
is
it
by the
wants to be.
numbers.
Yeah,
It is
and
by the
that's what it
numbers.
wants to be.
Yeah, it's not
It's
reinventing the wheel.
it's like saying a Jackie Chan film should have comedy in it. No, Jackie Chan film is an action movie. This is an action movie.
Oh,
Judge it
Jackie
as an
Chan
action.
films do have comedy. It does
No,
have
no, but
comedy in it.
you know what I mean, though. It's an action film.
Yeah.
Judge it as an action film. You know, this is an action film. They do action. They do whatever they want to do apart from that. This was fine. And I, as I said, the fact is that these critics said that Flaming Love and Thunder was better than this. No. This is a well better movie than Love and Thunder.
This is much better than Love and Thunder. I mean, the action
Yes.
scenes were a lot better. I thought Rock was kind of playing the Rock a little bit, than he was playing Black Adam. Like he could have given us a sort of performance to it. I mean, his performance, Rock being on the screen is mesmerizing as it is.
But
there could have been an element in his performance that made him almost feel very dictator-like to a degree. It's just something along those lines. Like he came across a little bit cold and silent type, which is I'm not sure if Black Adam.
The only thing that was bugged me about the very end, if we're gonna go there, is when he sat in the throne like this. He's obviously mimicking a very famous image from the comics. But then he goes up and smashes it. I'm like, no, that's not what. That's not what Black Adam does. He actually embraces that throne. That throne becomes part of his new kingdom. That he actually becomes the king of that of Kandar. But he's
their protector. Yeah,
because they're king. He literally becomes like their emperor. They literally are afraid but respect him. It's kind of like that love. It's kind of like a love-hate thing. Like kind of because he's better than the guy because he's not like exploiting them, but it's kind of like they kind of fear him because they know he can kill them. It's kind of like that thin line of love and fear that he has, and that's what makes him cool.
I like the fact that I like the fact that the people in this particular rendition, they loved him. I mean, I hated this, by the way.
I hate that as well. It's like the dude Diamond Cutter or something.
Yeah. Exactly. That kid, he reminded me of Billy Baston without the fucking powers. You know what I mean? And yeah, this was really pissing me off as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like take that and shove it up your ass. You know, that's basically what I was saying, but I didn't say.
And it'll be interesting to see, like, when he does fight Shazam, because we have to remember Shazam is still just a boy.
He's a little kid.
He's a little kid in a man's body, and he ends up fighting. He ends up fighting um, Black Adam. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pull all of this off. There's, like I said, there's a lot of things they have to do here, and they need to get it all done pretty quickly. But yeah, I think it's about time we mark this. So what are you going to give it, boss man?
Out of 10, I give this a high 7.
I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I think it's enjoyable. I
It's
will.
flawed.
It's flawed. It's enjoyable. I think that's the thing sometimes with these negative critic reviews. Like, they got to know what we're watching sometimes. Like, not everything is going to be Oscar material, and not everything is supposed to be. Some things are just there to get bums on seats, and this is what this was. Um, there are films, there are better superhero movies out there for sure, and all of that. But there were some good performances in this one. The Rock, the, just I'll continue here. The Rock was very good. Pierce Brosnan was very good. The rest of the supporting cast was good. It was good to see other people as well. Fan service done right, in my opinion, and even though but no film is ever perfect. DC don't churn out good perfect stuff on a regular basis anyway. But this was all right, and we should see it for that. It doesn't have to be shit. It doesn't have to be amazing. It can be just all right, and that's how I look at it. By the numbers,
I thought it was a good film, but not an excellent film.
yeah. I'm with you on that. I'll watch it one more time, and then I think that'll be my fill of it. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for both of us, and yeah, I think that's a good enough score. So, Bossman, are you looking forward to the future of DC?
Um, as I said before, like the thing is that now they've established Black Adam, they can now go into, like, as I said, like 52 would be great. I mean, the thing is that because it's a great story featuring sort of like underneath characters like Black Adam, like Booster Gold, like Blue Beetle, stuff like that. It could be
Well,
great
there
for
is a
that.
Blue Beetle movie coming out in the
Yeah,
future, I
which I'm
believe.
looking forward to. Like a flaming. I mean, if you
And
know, Blue Beetle's great. It's great.
for,
Um,
for me, you can't go page by page of the comics, but you can obviously extract elements from comics,
yeah,
and then like there's would it be certain like certain images or certain scenarios, you can obviously replicate them and all of that. All I care about is, am I going to be entertained? And so
mhm.
far with this particular movie, I almost feel like this is the beginning of the rebirth right now.
Well,
Henry Cavill's back. We've seen some familiar faces. We've got Peacemaker, which came out earlier this year. Let's go with this rebirth and make it right.
yeah. Like, for example, like they seem to be getting Superman right this time. That he's not this dour, flaming Batman-esque. Why does people don't understand me? It's like no, that's not Superman. He's this. He's about joy. Superman's about joy, whereas Batman's about angst and
I
all that stuff.
I have I'm very indifferent on Superman, because like I saw Christopher Reeve give his opinion on Superman, that Superman is somebody who's like a friend to everyone. But I think in today's world, there'll be a lot of people, regardless of what good Superman does, would never appreciate him. They'd always look
Because
at him as because he's an alien with superpowers. I mean, they'd always think there's a hidden agenda. You know how people are. There's a
well,
hidden agenda.
that's what Lex Luthor is.
Yeah,
The
Lex Luthor is yeah, Lex Luthor is intimidated by Superman, because as long as Superman's around, Lex Luthor can't be this corporate overlord that he wants to be. Because somebody like Superman will keep him in check. But
yeah,
but
as I
that's
said,
but I'm just talking. I'm just talking.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Flashpoint. I'm looking forward to the new Shazam movie. I'm looking forward to Aquaman 2. I'm looking forward to, because look, if DC can make
Peacemaker
good,
season 2.
yeah, I'm looking forward to DC just making good stuff, because the thing is, because I've said this genuinely, if DC can make good stuff, then that's fine. Because the thing is that it doesn't need to be Marvel; it can just be its own thing. And the thing is, people say this is a Marvel movie. No, it's not. Marvel movie wouldn't take this amount of risk. Like, for example, Marvel would have somebody literally ripping somebody in half, or having like literally like cut somebody's arm off. He literally
Well,
just
Blade has done that in the past, but the MCU maybe not. But
yeah
then again, yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. I mean, the thing is that like I saw people say this is the most risk-free star, the most risk-free genre. I'm like thinking it took risks. I mean, it had literally like had a character who literally like electrocuted an entire army and then flaming threw a bomb at them and did all sorts of flaming crap to kill them all. And I don't think Marvel would do that. They'd literally have it that somebody like dust themselves off saying, "No, I'm okay," and then they'd just kill off the giant bad villain at the end. Whereas this guy killed everybody and didn't give a crap. And literally, the heroes like going, "We don't kill anybody." He goes, "Well, I do." And it's just like that was like the antithesis of like he's the one hero that kills, and that's what marks him out as different. Whereas
Yeah, I like heroes that this sort of playbook. I thought Aquaman killed, no, or maybe Wonder Woman, but she's a warrior. Didn't she
well,
kill
no, but
people?
I think Wonder Woman killed Ares at the end, but that's because he's the god of war.
Yeah, but they made an exception though, didn't they? But uh, like obviously Tim Burton's Batman killed. You
Mhm.
know, and I had no problem. I have no problems with superheroes killing people who are bad.
Mhm.
We're not talking about stopping somebody. We're not talking about stopping somebody breaking into a shop and stealing some cigarettes. Fine, you bring that person to justice. We're talking about the worst of the worst. You know, if your life is in danger, then you've got no choice but to kill them. In my opinion, and I like that. That's what I like about Black Adam. Like he doesn't let this moral obscurity get in his way. If you're bad, you're dead.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, the thing is that that's what I kind of like about this character. It's like he literally is somebody who will kill. And I think the thing that I also appreciate about this film is the fact that it that Cat Hall is usually depicted as a white man, as a black man, and there's been no, as far as I know, people going, oh, it should be played by a white guy because nobody gives a fuck.
about or Hulkman.
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah,
he's usually depicted as a white man in the comics and other stuff, but because this is a new franchise and nobody gives a shit about Hawkman, they've managed to get through it with none of the usual
yeah.
just idiots going. It should be a white guy.
Well, Black Adam is supposed to be of Egyptian descent, but he's
Mm.
played by a guy who is half
Black and
black,
white, half
half black, half Samoan.
Samoan. Yeah,
And so he's not remotely Egyptian. I mean, obviously African on his dad's side, but this is North African. They're a different race of people, and on top of that, he's also played an Egyptian god before in the Scorpion King. So, yeah, um, people don't care if you look the part. It's fun. It's a bit like Gal Gadot. Apparently, Gal Gadot was supposed to play Cleopatra, and some people were pissed off because even though she was the leader of, she was the ruler of Egypt, she was actually of Greek origin, and so some people were saying, that only a Greek person should. No, somebody who looks the part. You could be a different nationality, but you could still look the fucking part. You know what I mean? You could be Italian and play a Greek person. You could be a Greek person and play an Italian person. You could be an Israeli person and play a Greek person. It's fine. You look the part. So she would have been ideal for Cleopatra, in my
yeah.
opinion.
As I said, I mean, me personally, as I said, I love Pierce Brosnan in this. I love the interaction he had with Hawkman. I love their relationship. If there's one relationship I loved in this, it was Hotman's and Pierce Brosnan's. It seemed genuine. It seemed like those two actors kind of bounced off each other, and it seemed genuine. They had
Yeah,
great
well, you
chemistry.
had hot head, and cool head. You know what I mean? So they were both like the leaders of that group, so to speak. So yeah, they worked off each other pretty well. But okay, I think we're done here. I could talk about this film a little bit more, but I think we talked about it plenty. We both enjoyed it. We're both going to probably watch it again at some particular point.
Mhm.
It was very enjoyable, and once again, so many avenues were open because of this movie. Henry Cavill. I mean, I think just to extend this a little bit, like when people left Spider-Man Far From Home, I put a lot of people liked it, but having him being revealed as Peter Parker at the end really and you saw J. Jonah Jameson as well. That really I remember how much of a big deal that was for a lot of people. And that almost elevated the movie, even though that was like the last 20 seconds of the fucking film. So having Henry Cavill in a way, I know a lot of people were very giddy, but that was the icing on the cake, and you could tell that alone, DC had been learning from Marvel. You know what I mean? Give us that juicy tidbit, and they gave it to us with Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, and that in itself would make the fucking movie, and it's going to make people talk about this film for a long time to come. This is
Yeah, I
what you
mean,
got to do.
so do you, I mean, that's one question I wanted to ask you. Was we kind of got through everything? Do you think that this film will be successful? Me personally, I think it is, because I think people want something a bit different from superhero movies, and I think this is something a little bit different.
I
I know
don't
people
know.
say,
No, I don't think this is that different at all. To tell you the truth, I think this is very run of the mill. I do think, um, obviously, he's a bit more. He's a bit more callous as a superhero, but I don't think people would mind that too much. I think that there was a very there was a formulaicness to this to a degree, which is why it only gets a 7. It's not that unique, but still, I think as a popcorn flick, people will eat this shit up. We're at this period of the year now, like it's almost half term. Loads of people. It is half term actually.
yeah, yeah.
Loads of people have
So a lot of teenage kids like 12 and up will go
yeah
and see this, and they should
yeah
do.
they'll
I
go
mean, this is
yeah
a. Do you know what, this film, despite what people are saying about it, is a decent, does what he says on the tin, action flick.
yeah. You're not reinventing the wheel with this,
Yeah,
but you are getting a decent. It's better. I went in unfortunately because of the reviews. I kind of went. I purposely went into this with a negative
I
expectation.
went in with an open mind. Because to be honest with you, I've learned from experience never trust what film critics tell you.
No doubt. But with things like Wonder Woman 2 being did you like Wonder Woman 2? I can't remember.
I liked it more than you and Paddy did.
I fucking hated that film. I
That's what I
really
mean.
did.
Well, I thought it was okay because I thought that Pedro Pascal was great as basically Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't mind
And
that, but it doesn't save the movie for me. I thought the film was just really shit, and I thought that connective tissue to the rest of the universe wasn't there. Like she kind of exposed herself as Wonder Woman to every person on the fucking planet when she spoke to them all, and all of them simultaneously gave up their wish. All of them, the whole fucking world. You know what I mean? Not one person said, "No, fuck you, bitch. I'm going to keep my wish."
but
Like
that's not how Maxwell Lord's powers work either.
well, Maxwell Power,
Maxwell Lord.
he Maxwell Lord, sorry, he became the Wish Stone, didn't he? So,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
that's not how his powers. That's not how his powers work.
no, but no, look, all I'm saying is that she managed to make every person on the planet rescind their wish,
Mm-hmm.
and in my opinion, every person on the planet doing that is impossible. And on
Mm.
top of that, every person, because they had Wonder Woman in their brain, knew who Wonder Woman was. So how the hell did she, like I said, the continuity wasn't there, and it made me very upset, and I thought it was a terrible movie. But so, knowing, I think that was the last DC film I saw. So knowing, and obviously, even though I did like Peacemaker, that was a
But what's
series.
Suicide Squad?
Uh yeah, Suicide Squad. You're right about that. That did come out afterwards, but I guess something that's connected to, even though it is part of that same universe, like Wonder Woman's been part of the Justice League. You've seen her intermingling with members of the Justice League.
Mhm.
Yes, you have seen Harley Quinn maybe mingle with Batman, I believe, in the original Suicide Squad. But
Mhm.
yeah, so seeing this, I had a different mindset, but I'm very happy that sometimes going in with that negative mindset could be the best thing, but it can make you appreciate something more than what you should do. But if I went in there thinking this was going to be an amazing film, I might have disliked this. But thinking this was going to be a shit film, I've ended up liking it.
Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, we're done here. We've been talking about this for almost an hour and a half. Anything more to add, boss man?
Yeah, I think I said all I would need to say, but good effort.
Yeah, good effort. And I said we can't wait. And don't like prolong this. Like this idea came out 15 years ago. Now, obviously, that was prior to Man of Steel, even. But just like DC, just pull your
Five.
fucking finger out. Warner Brothers, pull your fucking finger out and make these films a lot quicker than you're doing now, because these actors are not going to last forever. They're already very old. Dwayne Johnson's already in his 50s, and fucking Henry Cavill's almost in his 40s.
He is in his
You know what I
40s.
mean?
He's
Oh,
my age.
he is in his 40s. I take
He's my
that back.
age. He's my age.
Yeah, so he's in his 40s. So get this shit rolling before these guys age out of their fucking roles, for fuck's sake. So yeah. All right. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care, everyone.